И чем быстрее, тем лучше.
Russia has fired its strongest message yet. The Trump peace plan is workable, but only on Moscow's terms. Speaking from Kyrgyzstan, President Vladimir Putin called the US-drafted 28-point proposal a legitimate basis for future agreements. This is a direct blow to Europe's narrative and a humiliating moment for Kyiv, as Moscow builds pressure on the negotiating table. With Washington now echoing Russia's long-standing security concerns, the Kremlin signals the next phase will be written in Moscow, not in Kyiv.
Regarding the draft agreements. But there were no draft agreements. There was a set of questions that were proposed to be discussed and formulated finally. In general, I have already said this many times. Before my visit to the United States, before the visit to Alaska, we discussed this with the American negotiators. And after that, that list of possible agreements of 28 points appeared. And, as I have already announced publicly, it was transmitted to us through certain channels. We familiarized ourselves with it.
Putin emphasized that the 28-point plan, presented by US President Trump, could serve only as a basis for future agreements. He said the American side has considered Russian positions in some respects, but serious discussion is required on key issues.
After that, negotiations took place in Geneva between the American delegation and the Ukrainian delegation, and they, as I understood, decided among themselves that all these 28 points need to be divided into 4 separate components. Yes, and all this was transmitted to us. In general, we agree that this may be laid as the basis of future agreements. But it would be impolite on my part to speak now about any final versions, since they do not exist. Some things are of a fundamental nature.
Putin underlined that Russia is fully prepared to engage in negotiations at any time. He described the US and European claims that Russia is preparing to attack Europe as complete nonsense, a direct lie, accusing Western nations of fear-mongering for political and economic gain.
And in general, we see that the American side in some things takes into account our position, which was discussed before Anchorage and after Alaska. In some places, we absolutely need to sit down and seriously discuss some specific things. Everything needs to be put into diplomatic language. Because one thing is to say in general that Russia is not going to attack Europe. This sounds funny to us, right? We never intended to, but if they want to hear this from us, well, let's fix it. It's just that there are people there who, it seems to me, are a bit out of their minds when publicly, or some swindlers who want to get something out of this, publicly tell their population, their citizens, that Russia is preparing to attack Europe and that they need to immediately strengthen their defense potential.
The Kremlin confirmed that US presidential envoy Steve Witkoff is expected to visit Moscow next week, with the potential to meet President Putin as part of Trump's push for a resolution to the Ukraine conflict. Putin stressed that all issues are serious and require careful discussion, showing Russia's position as strong, patient, and in control.
We are certainly ready for this serious discussion. And next week, the American delegation should come to Moscow to continue contacts and hold a meeting in Moscow already this week. Well, I learned about this only when the plane landed in Bishkek. Nevertheless, we are ready, please, at any time. The question is so important for everyone and for us that at any time, day or night, we will fly in. Today in the evening we will return, straight on Thursday, or on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whenever they want. But we agreed that we would decide, and the administration of the President of the United States would decide who and when should come.
Putin extends the hand of dialogue on Moscow's terms only. He dismisses alarmist Western claims, asserting that Russia poses no threat to Europe unless pushed, while remaining willing to codify security arrangements, but only if they respect Russian strategic priorities. Europe must now decide: accept a Moscow-led reset or remain locked in a costly conflict with diminishing leverage. With this, Moscow sends a clear signal. The future of European security will be shaped in Moscow and Washington, not Kyiv, not Brussels.